I want to talk about toothing planes because you may want to do some veneering on some of your work. And let's say you're just beginning, you've been doing some woodworking and you want to start to do a little bit of veneering. You've got a bit of mahogany like I've got here, and somebody's talked about veneering the front of a drawer or something like that. And are you going to go out and try to find a toothing plane like this, which is a specialist plane that puts the tooth on the surface of wood? That's what it's for. It's got these tiny little teeth on the cutting edge here. You rub it across the surface of the wood and it gives it tooth for the animal hide glue to soak into the surface and pull those two components, the base wood and the veneer, together. And that's what we use this for. So are you going to go out and try and find one of these on eBay? They're difficult to find. You won't find one anywhere. Alternatively, you could find a number 71 cabinet scraper like this, and you can buy a special toothing plane iron for that. Probably cost you 30, 40 quid, plus the scraper. So where we're going with this is we've got the poor man's router, which you may have seen if you want to research that a little bit. Paul Seller's poor man's router. You've got the poor man's beading tool and gauge and things like that. So here we're going to talk about the poor man's toothing plane. It's very quick, very simple, very effective. What does the toothing plane do? This is how it's used and this is what it creates. You go tangential to the length of your grain. Sometimes you do the veneer wood, which could be up to 1/8 of an inch thick, and it could be as thin as 1/64 of an inch thick. And you've got your base wood. Usually you do this on your base wood. So here, this would go across the grain like this, and it puts parallel lines across the wood in the form of a V. So those little V's look like a corrugated roof or something like that. And then you go across the grain this way, and then it gives you a diamond pattern all the way through the surface of that wood. And that's what gives the wood its tooth. So it's called a toothing plane. And now we've got a toothed surface here that gives us this triangular diamond pattern all the way across the surface of the wood. And that's what we do. So inside here now, in those two strokes, that's the powdery stuff that we got from the inside. So let's take a look at an alternative to having to go out and find a toothing plane. Not easy. So what I've got is just a stick of wood. It could be anything. This is 5/8 by 1.5, but it could be a 1x2, 2x1, whichever way you say it from different sides of the globe. Here is the center line here. I'm going to go about 1/16 on one side here and pull a line down here like this. I'm going to flip over and do the same again on this opposite side. And what that's going to do, if I pull this line from one side and this line from the other, I'm going to end up with an angle across this piece of wood like this, just roughly. This could be anything, any angle you want, really. None of this is critical. And what we're going to do to create our toothing plane is we're going to take something like this. If you've got an old junker, gent saw, this is one I picked up from a car boot sale. Any kind of little gent saw you could do this with. These are probably around 14, 16 points per inch. This is a Zona. This has got 32 points per inch. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a little angled cut in here so this slides into the groove, a couple of screws on each side, and then we've got this scraping tool that will tooth the surface of the wood exactly the same as you might get with a toothing plane. So this is just very effective. Down your piece of wood. A little bit cattywampus there, but it works. So this will slide in here like this, I need to go longer past here, just an inch or so to get me to there. Well, let me go down a little bit further. I've got to change direction here just a little bit. Down there. Slide this into your piece of wood. Now I've got, this is kind of a bigger saw than this one, longer. And I'm going to use this one just to show you, but I could put a long saw in or a short saw. So on either side of the length of the saw blade, I'm going to drill a hole. So, and I'm just going to use a pilot hole of a 1/8 drill here. And what this is, if you can see in here, I'm going to just take the bit so you can see. See how the main shaft of the drill bit on either side of this, so I can see the threads of the screw on either side, but not the shank. The shank's hidden behind. So when I drill through the first piece of wood into the second, it means the threads will bite into the wall of the hole, and hopefully the shank won't split the wood, because I've made this allowance for it. You have to clear out the thread, the chase on the drill shank. And then I'm going with a 3/16 bit through the first piece of wood, and there. And you can countersink or not countersink, just makes it a little bit more comfortable. Like that. And then slide in your saw blade like that. And you don't need to set it right now, just get the blade in place. This really works well. So this is a poor man's toothing plane. I've not set the depth yet, this is still loose. And then I'm just going to cut this off here. Get that out of the way. I'm going to set this. Not too deep, you just want the pinnacles of the teeth to protrude through past the surface, like that. A bit more on here. Nice and tight. And I don't know if you can see those teeth sticking through the surface there. Let's try this on a piece of oak. This is my subwood that I would veneer my piece of veneer to. And actually I found you can either trail the teeth or you can push the teeth directly into the surface this way. So let's see. So there's going across the grain. So can you see that? So there's one direction. So that was pushing the teeth directly into it, but I can trail the teeth, and it's just slightly easier trailing the teeth, even though here on the actual plane, you can see the teeth would be pointed into the wood. Can you see that? So I'm going opposite, but I found that it cuts exactly the same channels going either with the teeth pointing in or trailing them. So let's go across the other way now and see what we get this way here. So here again, and I've got this blade. The nice thing about this Zona is it has 32 points to the inch, but I've lost the use of my fine saw. Can you see in that grain? All right, so what I did is I took a look at this little deal here. And this one works just as well, and it's the cheapest of all. And this is basically, this is just a very small junior hacksaw blade. Probably will cost you 20p somewhere, so it goes in a junior hacksaw. And this one also is a 32 points per inch blade. So this is just another one that I made. And this one you can permanently set up in your 2 blocks of wood and just set this aside just like a toothing plane. So this is your very cheapest of all toothing planes. And it does exactly, let's try it, show you how this works. And this creates the same toothing pattern and with it being hardened steel for a hacksaw, you see here, we've got exactly the same results that we got with the Zona saw. So any one of these, so if you've only got one of these, go ahead and use your gent saw like this or this. Now these teeth are a lot further set apart, so what you would do if the teeth are set apart, instead of going 90 degrees like this, parallel, you can take the saw, let me show you, and you can see, if you want a finer cut, you can go with the saw elongated in the cut, and you can get those teeth so close together that you can barely see any gap between them. But that's how you would do that. So you could alter the number of teeth per width of board by just angling the saw as you use it. That's the poor man's toothing plane. Another option for you in your woodworking quest, 20p. Great, thank you.